so you can fight for the country you love before it's too late. AMAC is more than 2 million patriots strong. You need to be the next to raise your hand and join. Will you defend democracy? Will you fight for the nation you love? Scan the QR code right now or go to amac.com/RAV. Time is running out. Stand up and fight today.
Make America great again.
1 in 4 kids grows up without a father. That's not just a bland statistic. It's a national crisis. I'm John Popola, host of Dad Saves America and CEO of Emergent Order Foundation. I like to say we're what it would look like if Warner Brothers and PBS had a baby that actually loved America. We're building a movement that defends the family and calls men to step up, not check out. Visit dsa-rav.com today to take a stand for fatherhood and the American family.
Fauci's diary entries are now out during the time he was managing COVID. And while there's, yes, a lot of interesting components there of how he lied to the American people and to legislators and to pretty much everyone, actually there's a point that's way more interesting that nobody seems to be talking about. Also, a woman in Mogadishu, also known as Minnesota, is found guilty of dropping an N-bomb. A Berlin terrorist attack seems to be done by, well, exactly the kind of people that do terrorist attacks, and a very special person looks to be getting into the race for 2028 for president, and I am so excited about it. All that and more coming up on this episode of the show. My name is Jobob. Thanks so much for tuning in. The show starts right now. This happened to be an incredibly busy weekend from a news output. It just felt like there's story after story after story after story. So also, we're going to talk about President Trump's White House Correspondents' Dinner, in which the media says he bombed. And maybe in the room there wasn't a ton of laughter, but I actually think it was actually better than that. Sometimes bombing, so to speak, or people not laughing at your jokes actually makes things better, because in reality what you're trying to do is prove a point. So we will get to that. We're going to talk to David Tanyipa for Crazy California. There's so much we got to get into today, and I'm honest to God, I don't know why more people aren't talking about this angle of the Fauci diary drop, but this is actually fascinating and probably super, super telling. Before I get into any of that, got to tell you about Live On Labs. Look, we all take supplements. I take supplements. You take supplements because you need supplements. The question that I always have is, am I absorbing these things? Like the cute, fun little flavored powder that I pour into my drink, or the vitamins that I chew with my mouth that tastes really good. Am I actually absorbing it, or am I just making very expensive toilet sewer water? It's a question that I've had, and I'm sure it's a question that you've had. Well, no longer, because Live On Labs has a new lipospheric absorption technique, which allows your body to actually absorb all of the nutrients, all of the additives that you just don't with other products. I've been super into the magnesium. It's I've been in magnesium for a while. I've taken multiple different versions of magnesium through mostly the additives in the water. And I felt like I slept okay until this stuff. It's not a sand type substance. It's not a pill. It's not a tablet. It's like a goop, and it's objectively weird. But it's weird because it works, right? As soon as I started taking this, I slept like a rock, which is good and bad. One, I'm getting much better sleep, but two, my wife doesn't, when I'm snoring or something and she bumps me. It doesn't wake me up, which is bad, but I guess also good because it proves the stuff is working. If you want to make sure that your supplements that you're taking are being absorbed into your body and actually being utilized for, the money that you're paying for it, check out Live On Labs. Check out the lipospheric absorption, liveonlabs.com. And if you go there today, you can get 15% off with the code JOBOB15, JOBOB15, get you 15% off of supplements that actually work and your body actually consumes and absorbs. Lipospheric absorption, that's the way you got to take your supplements. Liveonlabs.com, JOBOB15, Jobob15, get you 15% off. Also, tpt@tpusa.com is the email address if you'd like to send along your thoughts, comments, concerns, even criticisms. We accept people being wrong in our inbox, tpt@tpusa.com. You can also scan the QR code that's bookending the commercial breaks. It'll give you all of our sponsors. It'll give you the Turning Point Tonight website that you can check to see if you're registered to vote. Gives you all of our social media where you can leave comments everywhere. Do it today. Scan the QR code. Takes you 30 seconds. And, then you can send us emails. And we might actually read your emails on the show, which you should expect. Unlike someone that we all know and don't love, Dr. Fauci. I don't think he expected any of his journal/diary entries to be read by the masses, and yet here we are. In case you missed it over the weekend, Rand Paul, who is thankfully at the forefront of all of this, dropped a ton of Fauci diary entries. So just to lay this out really quickly, and you probably heard about this already in the news today, Dr. Fauci was keeping a diary of himself and was talking about what he was doing re-COVID and said, I did this, and then publicly told the rest of the world, actually, I did the opposite thing. It's a whole mess. And a bunch of people are going to get Dr. Fauci, rhetorically speaking, on the fact that he clearly lied to everybody he talked to. Now, that shouldn't be a surprise. That shouldn't be a shock, which is why I don't think it's the most interesting component of Dr. Fauci's newly released diary. What I do think is the most interesting component is not how he viewed COVID, not how he viewed, the powers that be, not how he viewed China, not how he viewed the lab leak theory. It's how he viewed himself. This, I think, gives us so much more insight into what's going on in that little brain of his, as opposed to all of the hypocritical stuff that he said, I told him this, and then, went on TV and said the complete opposite. I want to read you a couple quotes from this. Actually, there's a laundry list of quotes. I'm curious to see how much we have time to get to. But this is entirely not talking about his hypocrisy, but instead a look into how he viewed himself. This is Dr. Fauci writing in his journal about himself. I was going back and forth on whether or not I'm going to do the Fauci voice. My Fauci voice is not that good. You gotta get the shot. Like it's very Batman-y. Anyways, this from the writing of Dr. Fauci himself. Big front page article about me appeared in the Washington Post. Very flattering. The situation with my national and international fame is explosive and really unimaginable. He's writing this to himself. It's not hyperbole to say that I am the most famous and talked about person in the world today. Who says that? Sorry. Okay, the quote got broken up because I copy and pasted it directly from Chairman Rand Paul of this committee that released it. I'm the most famous person in the country and one of the most recognizable persons in the world. Countless profiles on me in multiple media. I cannot even read all the things that are written about me since I'm so busy. ... Seriously. Dear me. God, I'm famous. Man, isn't this cool? Signed, me. And the thing is, there are a ton of quotes of this. Here's another quote from Dr. Fauci himself. Press is going wild with me. Front page in Washington Post yesterday. Op-ed by Maureen Dowd in the New York Times today about me and my relationship with POTUS. Profile by Peter Nicholas on me in the Atlantic. Dear me, how awesome is this? Another quote, press is all over the top. My picture and stories about me in the national news virtually every day. Today, yesterday, tomorrow was flooded with stories. Too much. Impossible to even read all the stories. First of all, why are you reading stories about yourself? Maybe some people do that. Maybe earlier on in my commentary career, I would watch back the news hits that I would do, but that's really just for my own like edification. It wasn't like I wasn't sitting there watching videos of myself going, "Yeah, God, I'm cool. Yeah, I rock." It was more of like, okay, I didn't like the way I phrased that here. Here's my facial expression. It was again to try and educate me on how to do this job. Today, I don't sit back and rewatch the show. Like, that would be weird. I already did it. Here's a couple more. Intense publicity about me continues with stories of grandmothers who have crushes on men. He's now talking about the sex appeal of himself in his own journal. Petitions to vote for me sexiest man alive. Major stories about my basketball career at Regis. Nobody was seriously talking about Dr. Fauci, who stands 5'6", his basketball career. That was not a serious thing, and yet for whatever reason, in his own head, in his own egocentric, narcissistic head, it was all about him. Couple more. Press still hot and heavy about me. Dear me, the press is still hot and heavy about me. Multiple stories per day, directly or indirectly, involving me. Last one for a little bit. Again, countless print presses stories about me, directly or indirectly. Far, far too many for me to even think about reading. Someday, maybe, go back and read. Which makes me wonder, is that what he's doing with his time now? Just now that we know that he's obsessed with himself, is he in his retirement, unfortunately not in prison, but is he going back and reading all of the stories about himself? Remember that picture? I should have pulled it up. This would make me be a good show host. The picture of him at his office, which faced a desk, sitting at his desk, which faced a wall with a big picture of himself. That's weird, dude. It just is. Now, interestingly enough, this is not really related. It just happens to be the case. I've been on a Napoleon deep dive. I don't know why. I enjoy learning about things in the past. Major military actions, consequences, anything. So I've been on a Napoleon kick recently, and what's interesting about this as it relates to Fauci is that a lot of people would look at Fauci, look at his stature, and go, Napoleon complex. And I kind of think, well, what is a Napoleon complex? It is when a person, how we understand it, when a person effectively has to compensate for some physical characteristic, in this particular case, being short. A guy who's short, who feels like he has to prove himself, drives like a big, massive truck that's got, 4-foot wheels. It's just, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But what's actually really interesting about this is Fauci is 5'6", Napoleon also 5'6"-ish. The thing is, at the time, Napoleon was actually above average height for men in France, which I think is kind of interesting. But I think the big separating difference here is that Napoleon, regardless of what you think about, what he did, I'm not going to sit here and relitigate the Napoleonic Wars. But Napoleon was a very smart and capable individual, which doesn't align at all with Dr. Fauci. Dr. Fauci fits our modern understanding of Napoleon complex actually better than Napoleon, because Napoleon was actually capable and actually went on to accomplish a bunch of things. Dr. Fauci just got his 15 minutes of fame and relished in it, and continuing to this day still relishes in it. One of the characteristics, actually several of the characteristics of narcissism are as follows, and I want to see if you think that this fits Mr. Fauci in any capacity. First characteristic of narcissism is manipulation. Using tactics like gaslighting, guilt tripping, pathologically lying in order to keep control. As I'm sure many people have already evidenced, these diaries reveal the fact that Fauci was lying pretty much the whole time. And we'll get to one specific example here because I just thought it was too good to not have. Also, exploitation, using his social status to accomplish various things. Remember when Fauci had to go, he had to have security, which is not great, but he had to have security, but he used that. He loved that. He's like, oh, I get the best reservations at dinner. I do it. Of course. Another characteristic of narcissism is the condescending attitude that someone has. Belittling, demeaning, looking down on people and their views as inferior. Does anyone remember his 60 Minutes interview when he says, people who argue with me are arguing with science because I represent science, which of course is one of the most demeaning and belittling things I've ever heard, especially in the public political sphere. And the last thing that I think is applicable here is a fragile ego and rage. Seems to fit. I don't necessarily think I saw Dr. Fauci be enraged, but where I think this is most applicable is the fact that, well, he really liked the attention. He really, really loved getting talked about. He was condescending, had a condescending, belittling attitude. And when there was any pushback, what did he do? Did he say, yeah, let me look at that again? Nope. He doubled down. He was the science. And for those reasons, I think there's, ample reason for this to continue being in the news. People might think, well, why are we still talking about Fauci? One, because he probably belongs in jail for perjuring himself on a number of different occasions. This one specifically came to light in all of these releases of his diary. I'm going to go back to reading quotes. This is less self-aggrandizing, more, all right, caught you in the lie. It says this: I spoke with Bill de Blasio and convinced him, based on what I was saying publicly in my conversations tonight, to close the New York City schools. He had already decided based on what I was saying on TV. I went on to tell him he should close the bars and restaurants in NYC. He said he would base this on my recommendation. I had a similar call with Governor Newsom's COS. Not sure what COS is. She said that based on my TV appearances today and yesterday, the governor has decided to close schools in California. This is him writing again to himself. Now, again, this shouldn't be a shock to anybody, but he later went on TV to deny absolutely all of this. Here's a small clip of that. This is cut 15.
I wonder if you would recommend locking down schools if you had to do it all over again.
Well, again, it's first of all, I didn't recommend locking anything down. You're asking me questions. You're talking about the CDC is the public health agency that uses their epidemiologists and their science-based approach to make recommendations.
No, I didn't do it. I said that I did it, and I wrote down in my diary that I did it, and I had conversations with the governor doing it, but I didn't do it. Just trust me on that. I didn't do it. This is one of the many lies that Mr. Fauci has been caught in. But also specifically, unfortunately, not unfortunately. It's not illegal to lie to mainstream media. But it is illegal to lie under testimony, in which he did a number of times. He perjured himself, if you remember, talking about gain-of-function research. Said, I did not fund gain-of-function research. Now, the classic definition of gain-of-function research is, well, yeah, he did actually fund it. He will argue a super narrow definition of gain-of-function research, which he'll use to wiggle out of. But I think the easier one to get him on is the fact that he said under oath in testimony that he never talked to the intel community about any of the theories of the lab leak, which of course is objectively not true. I think the main point here is, one, it is super interesting to see what was going on in this guy's head. What seemed to be the most important is the fact that his name was being mentioned. His ego was so big, he would literally write letters to himself saying, wow, look at how awesome I am. Everybody thinks I'm awesome. Isn't this awesome? Signed me. The second thing I'm happy about is the fact that Rand Paul, who chairs the committee that put all of these diary entries out, still seems to be taking this seriously. For that, I have just a little bit of hope that something, legally speaking, may actually happen with Dr. Fauci. Maybe we get to see him in an orange jumpsuit and a perp walk and his little feet kind of walking into jail. Hopefully, we can all hope. But I think lastly, what I end on is a quote from a very philosophical film that I think we've all seen called Toy Story, in which Buzz Lightyear describes my exact feelings for Dr. Fauci, especially now.
You are a sad, strange little man, and you have my pity. Farewell.
Yes, Dr. Fauci, you are a sad, strange little man, and you have my pity. And also my disgruntled anger. There's that too, but one can only hope he'll be held accountable. TBT@tpusa.com is the email address if you send along your thoughts, comments, concerns, criticisms there. I'm curious, was anybody else talking about this today? Because I thought this was the most interesting part about the Fauci drops, is how much he was in love with himself. Everybody's talking about like, ooh, we caught him in a lie. Yeah, we knew that. Everybody knew that. This is not new information. What was new information to me is just how much the guy loved seeing himself on TV, and then how much he loved telling himself about how much he loved himself, which is just crazy to me. TBT@tpusa.com is the email address. Got a lot to get to and get to the point. Terrorist attack in Berlin, not good. A woman in Mogadishu, also known as Minnesota, found guilty of dropping an N-bomb, which we will discuss, among many other things coming up in the show. Scan the QR code when we go to break. It'll take you 30 seconds. We'll be right back after this.
Hi, I'm Ben Cozy. Isn't traveling a pain in the neck? You're cramped, uncomfortable, and forget about it.
Hey, Wayne Island Root, America Speaks. You call in and we talk about it. Your opinions, your comments, your questions. How do you call in? 800-347-ROOT. 800-347-ROOT. 800-347-7668. The show airs at midnight, East Coast time, 9 p.m. Pacific, but we tape it at 6 p.m. East Coast time, 3 p.m. Pacific. So you call in at 6 p.m. Eastern, and I talk to you, and it airs that night at midnight. The phone number again, 800-347-ROOT. That number is 24/7. You can leave voicemails. We play your voicemails on the air as well.
Hey, Wayne, what do you think about Obama?
He was a communist, socialist, Marxist radical.
I agree.
Or you can email me, wayneroot@gmail.com. I'll read your email live on the air with your comments or questions. America Speaks.
Hi, my name is Tracy L. from Arizona. I don't stink around in the kitchen when it comes to the news. I watch Real America's Voice, which always serves accurate and reliable updates that are on point with their amazing hosts. So don't find yourself in a pickle by tuning into the fake news. Stick with Real America's Voice.
My name is Phoebe, and I live in Florida. I love Real America's Voice. They truly speak for the people, and that's what real patriotism is all about.
Hi, this is Becky from the Florida Panhandle, and I love watching Real America's Voice for the programming, the hosts, and my Rad Chat family.
Florida Sun Goddess here. Let me tell you why I love RAV. They let my voice be heard. They give me a platform for community so I don't feel alone. Thanks so much. God bless.
We are in a fight for the future of our democracy. We are up against white supremacy, people who know how, they say, to read the Bible, but they colorblind. Not because they don't understand race, but because they can't read the red letters. And we have a responsibility to go to the ballot box and treat our ballot as a prayer that ancestors prayed. A prayer that those in cotton fields and tobacco plantations prayed, that we might have a voice that can continue to articulate the problems that are in our community.
All right. Mr. Justin Pearson attended the AOC School of Accents. We might be on the tobacco fields, and listen, this is the second mistake I've made today. Maybe tomorrow we'll play a clip of him talking like a normal person. Not that that's like not normal, but like the way that he actually talks. It's just it's great. We're in a fight to white supremacy. But I don't know. AOC did it first. I don't know if he does it as well. AOC, remember a couple weeks ago, was down in Georgia. I forget who she was campaigning with, but all of a sudden picked up black preacher accent, and boy, was it delicious and fun. I think she also did it again when campaigning with this guy like a couple weeks ago. I love it. Of course, all of he's saying is dumb. That's beside the point. We already know that. That's just I love the accent. Give me more. Go thicker. Go deeper south, Mr. Pearson. That would be fantastic. All right, hey, when there's lots of points to get to, we're contractually obligated to get to the point.
Get to the point. Get to the point.
All right, up first, not a lot of great news here in Get to the Point today. Here we go. Berlin police kill suspect in Pride Festival attack after manhunt. Now, if you've been following this story over the weekend, let me just set this up. There was a Pride Festival in Berlin, and an Islamic extremist drove his truck through the crowd, killed at least one person, and injured several dozen more. Obviously a tragedy. Nobody wants to see that. And every single news outlet, and actually this gave me some amount of hope, every single news outlet did mention the fact that his name is Abdul something and he has ties to ISIS. Which is crazy, the fact that nobody mentioned that. But here's what gives me a little bit of hope. I was scrolling through Facebook and I would see headlines of this from like the New York Times, and the comments were just off the wall with exactly what I was saying. Hey, anybody going to mention the name? Hey, anybody going to talk about the fact that this seems to be an Islamic radical who wanted to kill Westerners, specifically gay people? Hey, anybody find it unbelievably ironic and sad that the very people that want these Islamic fundamentalists to come into their country, the Islamic fundamentalists absolutely hate them? It was actually, I felt a little bit of hope inside reading through Facebook comments and seeing a bunch of everyday normal people pointing that out to the New York Times. The 21-year-old man, allegedly, who committed the crime, was killed by police officers in Berlin, was actually convicted in 2025 of trying to join ISIS and he was obviously accused of the tragedy that he committed, the terrorist attack that he committed in Berlin on Sunday. So he was convicted and served less than 2 years for trying to join ISIS. Now, he was born in Germany. His mother was a naturalized citizen from Lebanon. I guess he went to Lebanon and literally tried to join ISIS, and he came back to Germany. And you know what the German authorities said? The German authorities told him to attend de-radicalization counseling sessions. I, for one, can't believe that didn't work. I think that doesn't that work with everybody? Like, okay, so fine. We just let the entire third world in. The only thing we have to do is send them to de-radicalization counseling sessions. That'll fix the problem. Again, shock to me that didn't work. But in all, it actually is somewhat heartening to know that most people are pointing out the obvious here. Like, hey, this guy is clearly an Islamic extremist. Does anybody want to mention that? Does anyone want to mention Mr. Abdul and his prior conviction for trying to join a terrorist organization? Anybody? Like, anybody want to mention that? The fact that normal people are saying that all over social media and the New York Times is still just like huddled in a corner trying to go, we don't, that actually gives me a lot of hope. Speaking of things that, well, this doesn't give me hope. This is this big photo, but there's several headlines attached to it, specifically, not necessarily in the mainstream, because this is kind of like an X thing at the moment, but this just in. Kamala Harris, former vice president of the United States, reportedly is preparing to run for president again in 2028. This has been reported by people like Andrew Yang. Hold on, what is that? What am I hearing? Am I hearing the song "Celebration"? Can we? No. This is very. She's a Kamala Harris is a very formidable candidate who will present a massive problem to any conservative trying to run for the presidency. What? Are we playing the Celebration song again? I don't understand this. I don't understand. Can we? This is a very serious thing. Kamala Harris might run for president, and that would be very, very bad for everyone, including her campaign. I'm sorry, I can't pretend this is serious. No, this is great. This is fantastic. We love it. How do I support her financially? I would like to know. If you would like to support Ms. Kamala Harris running for president in 2028, email us, tpt@tpusa.com. I think this is wonderful. What's not wonderful, though, is the encroachment on the very First Amendment, which was at the topic of conversation last Friday. In Rochester, Minnesota, this from NPR News, a Rochester jury finds woman who hurled racial slur at black child on a playground guilty. Here's the problem. One, it's a ridiculous thing to have been found guilty of. Two, the headline just isn't true. So you've probably seen this video before. It's this mom, and I'm not defending her actions. I'm mostly just trying to point out the fact that all of this is ridiculous. She allegedly dropped an N-bomb on an 8-year-old kid that was allegedly trying to take her kid's stuff. Mama bear attack mode. I'm not defending her actions. I get it. But also, the headline from NPR News said jury finds a woman guilty who hurled racial slurs at a black child on a playground. That's not what she was found guilty of. There was 2 different counts of disorderly conduct, and the one with the kid was not, they didn't find her guilty of that. They criminally found her guilty of causing a disturbance between her and the guy who was filming her. I didn't play the clip, but you've probably seen it. Honestly, it's not worth playing because it has to be censored, and there's just too much. It's just the whole thing is effectively censored, so it doesn't make sense to play it with audio. But if you listen to it, if you search it out on the internet, if you want to email us, tpt@tpusa.com, we'll send you the actual unedited video. The guy is pressuring her to say the word while also using the word more than she does in the video. I'm wondering when he's going to be charged with a crime, because I feel like if that's the crime, he's the one who instigated and also did more of the naughty words. Is anybody going to be held accountable? Is this guy going to be held accountable? Also, some serious allegations levied against him, which we don't have time to get into, because in terms of being held accountable, I want to make it to Maine, who has officially selected, libs in Maine have officially selected Mr. Troy Jackson, secures Democratic nomination for Maine Senate seat after chaotic primary race. Was it, though? Was it a chaotic primary race? Was there a race for this that Troy Jackson participated in? Or did libs, as they often do, upend democracy to install the person that they wanted? Because remember when they actually had the race, which they won't talk about here in The Guardian. Remember the actual race that happened where one Graham Plattner, Nazi tattoo, pervy guy, he was the guy that people voted for? But the defenders of democracy have chosen yet another person outside of democracy. Have conservatives ever done that? Somebody emails, tpt@tpusa. Have we ever just bucked a candidate who we didn't like? Because remember, in 2016, the Republican establishment wanted to do that to Trump, but they just couldn't. They wanted to, and they couldn't do it. But I don't know, is there any high profiles? It's just, the left is just littered with this sort of stuff. Bernie Sanders in 16, Bernie Sanders in 20, Bernie Sanders in 2024, Kamala Harris in 2024. These are the presidential races, not even including the main Senate race. They just completely throw out all the votes of their constituents and go, actually, we want to do this instead. Classic libs. All right, that is all the time we have for today. Let's see. Oh, we're going to have David Tangipa coming up next, Assemblyman from California, to talk about the craziness going on in California. And then after that, we will discuss President Trump's show-stopping speech at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. A lot of people said he bombed. I don't actually think that's the case. We'll be right back after the break. Scan the QR code that's going to come onto your screen right now.
This is Fubo. It's your way to watch ESPN and other top sports networks.
When it's breaking, we're moving.
Breaking news.
Breaking news. News doesn't sleep. At Real America's Voice, we don't get to crash or lose focus. That's why we drink Soldier Fuel and take Go Pills to stay ahead of the chaos, because we do this for you.
Go Pills and Soldier Fuel locked in.
Go Pills are packed with neurotransmitter support. Soldier Fuel has no sugar, so no crash.
Now that's a game changer.
Mic on, lights up. Soldier Fuel keeps me dialed right in.
Both are used by the U.S. military every day.
Built by Patriots for Patriots.
And they're now available to you.
This is huge.
Scan the QR codes below and order your supply today.
Hear that pop? So good.
Go to buysoldierfuel.com or search on Amazon.
This is performance fuel. Clean energy, sharp mind. That's how we do it at RAV.
Visit buygopills.com and get 15% off automatically.
Go Pills and Soldier Fuel.
Let's go.
Real America's Voice is growing, and now it's all in one place. Introducing the new and improved RAV app, built for access, community, and choice, not paywalls. Here's the key. RAV is still free to watch. No sign-in, no membership required. Your favorite live streams, breaking coverage, and video on demand are all right there. Free, just like always.
For the War Room Posse, we have to be a force multiplier on this. We have to stick the landing.
In the White House, in the Oval Office,
California.
Crazy California, where sanity goes to die.
All right, as always, our California correspondent, who also doubles as an assemblyman, a state representative for the state, Assemblyman David Tangipa, thank you so much for joining us. I am very excited because, as we talked a little bit earlier, California made national news this week. Tell us about one Rob Bonta and the problems and controversy that he's gotten into so that folks not in California can recognize what's happening and don't let it happen to their state.
Well, so not only have we been told that our colleagues in the supermajority here in California, but Democrats across the entire state saying that that our system is the safest system and it's secure and just believe us, bro. But then you see New Jersey, you know, obviously with the non-citizens being registered. And then we see the election system that's happening in California, where Rob Bonta, our attorney general, has in the middle of an election season decided to rewrite our voter ID initiative, the title and summary. It used to say a voter ID and citizenship verification constitutional amendment. It now says prohibits citizens from voting without a government issued ID, bans mail-in ballots unless you show a 4-digit confirmation code. And he's changed that again after a year and a half and 1.6 to about 1.4 million signatures of Democrats, Republicans, and independents, because we believe he poll tested this information to frame it to make sure that we're in a detrimental position. But the attorney general is supposed to be nonpartisan and not frame things this way. And now we see it right in the middle that they are electioneering and they are rigging the election right in front of our eyes.
So just to catch everybody up, title and summary is like super important. Like on your ballot, this is the language that is used to tell people what this is about. It also goes out in like the pre-election pamphlet that you get, like here's what it, and so the language needs to be specific, but also needs to have a nonpartisan edge to it. David, do you think that California voters are smart enough to see past that, or are they just going to look at it and go, bans voting for people who don't present an ID as, oh no, I don't want to ban voting? Like, are they smart enough to get past this?
We think so because we actually believe that, some of the undermining tactics that they tried on Prop 36, they wanted to make sure, the legislature was trying to pass a bill that would actually add more enforcement, but the bill would be repealed if Prop 36 would have passed. So they could have added onto the summary, repeals tougher laws on retail theft. That's how many games that the government is actually trying to play. And it's what we're really trying to reveal. But it's where I think people here in California, they saw what was happening with the gamesmanship happening on Prop 36. They have been fooled when it comes to Prop 47 and 57 when they called it safe neighborhoods and clean schools. Yep. But really all that it did was actually make rape of an unconscious person no longer a violent crime. It made domestic violence no longer a violent crime. It made retail theft a ticket, and they've been fooled way too often. And we saw the result. Prop 36 was a repudiation of what happened with 47 and 57. And now what we're looking at is with this voter ID initiative, we believe Rob Bonta messed up, and now he's bringing more attention to it than less. And we're hopeful that the Barbara Streisand effect is going to happen, where she didn't want her address online. So what happened? What did the internet do? Put it everywhere.
So I don't want to lose people who aren't specific on California politics in the fray of like Prop 36 and I get it. So so just so people know the way that they word things. Yeah, Prop 47, which basically made it legalized crime, was titled the Safe Neighborhoods Act. I don't know if you remember this, but in 2018, we were actually, producer Glenn and I were working on a governor's campaign. And a big thing was the gas tax. And it was like, we want to get rid of this gas tax. But they worded it, and we sued for title and summary, vote yes to to say no to the gas tax. And it was, I don't know if you remember this, but it was this huge thing in which we did file lawsuits to get the title and summary changed, and then we ended up losing, which is a problem. Do you think that there's a path forward where this gets reverted back to what it was, the non-confusing language that the Attorney General in California clearly changed for political purposes?
Well, we are going to sue the Attorney General because we believe that this framing has partisan lean to it. And in California, you are supposed to. Yes. But we're going to have to do our due diligence on this part. But you and I both know when it comes to the hope here, there's not much. But like you talked about on the gas tax, the vote was they put gas tax first, and then it said vote yes to repeal the gas tax. But I have a bunch of people in my family alone that are not the most political, but obviously I am, that were saying, wait, I voted no on that because I don't want a gas tax. And I was like, that's exactly how they do the framing. So that way it fools you, because we know that, most people want to go home, watch a football game, hang out with their family, and they're not thinking about the 10 million ballot propositions that are on there. And so do we have hope on that? I don't know yet, but we are going to fight. And we think that a lot of people are really going to look at this and actually bring so much more attention to it. We at least want to get the benefit there, where it's our job on the campaign side to tell everybody, the truth behind it.
Yeah. So in wrapping this up, I think this actually, the language matters a lot, not only in California, but also happens in Congress too. Are there any bills that you can think of that, or any causes, issues that are thoroughly defensible from a conservative mindset that libs may not like, but can we name it? Like, for example, the cute, fluffy poodle dog bill. Call the bill I Love Everyone bill, and fluffy rainbows and unicorns, and then it'd be like voter ID laws. Are there any bills on the docket that we could do that with, in kind of a joking way, but also kind of a serious way?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. The compassionate and, zero carbon emissions bill, and, there's a lot of stuff that we could say. But here's the part that I always say is an issue for us, is we don't know how to be in a toxic relationship as good as they do. I mean, they are really good at that stuff. And I don't know if I want to become as toxic as they do and then challenge them on that issue. I mean, I'm just not good at it. I could tell you that.
Yeah, this goes back to the problem that we often have on this show. The biggest issue is that we on the right have morals and standards and try to uphold a personal virtue, and getting into the mud and fighting with the pigs sometimes lead you to let those morals slip, which we don't want to do. So, all right, fine. Thank you for being the upright, moral conservative in this. I'm trying to get down and dirty and beat those people at their own game. And here you are.
Well, you were a consultant, so it makes sense.
Hey, I'll take that as a compliment. I know you didn't mean it as one, but I'll take it as one. Assemblyman David Tungyeep on California craziness. What is it? Crazy California. Thanks so much for taking the time. And we'll keep people updated on this. The verbiage around this is the most important thing. At least I would say so. Thanks so much. Really appreciate you taking the time.
Appreciate you.
Home inspectors, contractors, roofers. All kinds of pros recommend Lethal.
When it's breaking,
we're moving.
Breaking news.
Breaking news. News doesn't sleep. At Real America's Voice, we don't get to crash or lose focus. That's why we drink Soldier Fuel and take Go Pills to stay ahead of the chaos, because we do this for you.
Go Pills and Soldier Fuel locked in.
Go Pills are packed with neurotransmitter support. Soldier Fuel has no sugar, so no crash.
Now that's a game changer.
Mic on, lights up. Soldier Fuel keeps me dialed right in.
Both are used by the U.S. military every day.
Built by Patriots for Patriots.
And they're now available to you.
This is huge.
Scan the QR codes below and order your supply today.
Hear that pop? So good.
Go to buysoldierfuel.com or search on Amazon.
This is performance fuel. Clean energy, sharp mind. That's how we do it at RAV.
Visit buygopills.com and get 15% off automatically.
Go Pills and Soldier Fuel.
Let's go.
Real America's Voice is growing, and now it's all in one place. Introducing the new and improved RAV app, built for access, community, and choice, not paywalls. Here's the key. RAV is still free to watch. No sign-in, no membership required. Your favorite live streams, breaking coverage, and video on demand are all right there. Free, just like always.
For the War Room Posse, we have to be a force multiplier on this. We have to stick the landing.
In the White House, in the Oval Office, you're crushing it, my friend.
And if you want more, the members section is your backstage pass. Get exclusive behind-the-scenes photos and videos, insider moments from the studio and the field, and early access to new content before it goes public. Members can also unlock special experiences like virtual meet and greets, member-only auctions, and select event access, plus commercial-free viewing of certain shows inside the app. It's not just an app, it's a community. Download the RAV app today. Find it in the App Store and Google Play.
Howdy, Rav fams. This is Warbringer here. Love you all. Rav is the only place to get the truth, and this is the only way we're going to be able to restore our republic. Love you all. See you in the chat.
This is Tim King, also known as USS Malik, and I love Real America's Voices for its like-minded programming and the chat. Love you guys.
This is the guy who thinks people don't deserve law and order in their own community. Hey guys, thank you.
So that's JD Vance and Pete Hegseth leaving an event, and people are booing them. Boo! You know, I don't want to stoke any fires here, but also I would like to point out the fact that if you're accusing the administration of the things that the left is accusing the administration of, they're genocidal fascists. But then your response to that is to go, boo! I feel like you should have a little bit more, I don't know, say actual words. These people they're ruining America. What are we going to do about it? Boo! All right. I don't know, maybe put together a coherent sentence and chant it or something. I don't know. It just feels like a lackluster effort to me. Like if all of the things that you're saying, you actually believe them to be true, I would imagine there would be a little bit more effort put in than just boo. Whatever. All right. Speaking of effort, the libs are going out of their way to damage the current president. President Trump had the White House Correspondents' Dinner yesterday, in which I think he was hilarious. I'm going to play you two clips here, but keep in mind, the libs are saying this totally bombed. This is absolutely terrible. Nobody was laughing in the room. And there's a little bit of truth to the fact that there's less laughter in the room than probably if it was, held at the big room that they were planning on holding it at. Remember, because they couldn't because a radical leftist tried to kill everybody. One, if there were more people there, it would probably be bigger laughs. But two, also, I don't think President Trump was actually going for laughs. I think he was going for funny, and I'm going to say what I want to say, and it might be a little awkward, but the jokes are actually funny. The response is indicative of the fact that Trump wasn't there to make people laugh. He's going to say, I'm going to say some things that are funny, but the goal is not to get you to laugh. The goal is I want to say what I'm going to say. Here's the first cut that we have that I think is actually a very funny joke.
Press here in one place, I have to say that we're having an amazing load of accomplishments that the media never talks about. For example, under my administration, a once feared and powerful regime that relentlessly attacked America has finally been toppled. Their former leaders have been removed, and they're now being run by a gay dictator facing internal divisions. But I, for one, wish Barry Weiss all the best at CBS News. She's a wonderful woman. Most of the press lives here in Washington, D.C. And
you know what I love about that is, one, it's a very well written and funny joke. Especially the fact that, I don't know, people have their own opinions on Barry Weiss. I don't think she's all that bad. I think she's definitely better than what CBS was doing. But the thing is that Trump, like a comedian, understands this is not going to get a big laugh, but I'm going to say it anyway. It's very like Norm Macdonald of him, which I think is great. Because Norm Macdonald talked a lot about bombing at shows, and sometimes he's like, I would do it on purpose. Because the point is, I want to say what I want to say. And I'll tell you this, as a guy who's done comedy for a long time, there have been nights, actually, there have been events where I've just bombed so hard. And then I got off stage like sweating bullets, like, oh my gosh, that was terrible. They hated me. And then I learned something that President Trump is displaying here exactly. Who cares? If I think it's funny, if there's... say, night one, they thought it was hilarious. Night two, they're like, whatever. Here's the material. We're going to recite it. We're going to say it. We're going to have a good time. I'm going to have a good time. And whether or not you laugh is irrelevant to me. And I think that's the attitude that President Trump has here. I'm going to say true things, and I'm going to make funny jokes. And if you don't laugh, I don't care. Because I'm playing to the TV audience, and he's getting more attention from this than I think he would have if the room was rolling around in laughter. I think here's one other joke that I want to play about Dylan Mulvaney, or I'm sorry, Caitlin Collins. I get those two confused all the time. Apparently President Trump does as well. Watch this.
I said, Caitlin, congratulations. But it was fake. There's no question about it. But she's a young, attractive woman. She never smiles. I said, Caitlin, do you have a smile? Smile. You have a nice position. You're at CNN Fake News. You should be a happy person. So smile, Caitlin. Just smile. But we attack, and I thought Caitlin had really made it big with a major new sponsorship. But then I informed her that it wasn't her on the Bud Light can. It was Dylan Mulvaney.
And nobody laughed, and it was great. It was great. I love the fact that people in the room were so uncomfortable about making jokes about something they talk about routinely. Libs talk about the trans issue and Dylan Mulvaney constantly. Well, I can't believe why this... And all of a sudden, the president of the United States gets up there and dishes it. And it's, to me, it's funny. And to all of you, it's probably funny. But the people in the room, who were a bunch of libs, right? Like Kristen Welker was there, all of CNN was there. I don't know why those two pop in my head, but a bunch of your left-wing media is there, and they're like, I'm not laughing. Good. If you don't think it's funny, because, I don't know, you're all squeezed up tight, I don't particularly care. And the best part about that is neither did the president. He's just like, I'm going to make these jokes. I think it's funny. My staff thinks it's funny. You at home think it's funny. The people in the room don't laugh. Fine. Pound sand. I just love that. I just love the fact that he just kept moving. This is the act. Love it, hate it, doesn't matter. I'm doing my thing. And he did. I thought the White House press correspondence dinner was amazing. And that's my personal take as a guy who's been in situations with rough rooms. Nah, don't care. I'm having a good time. TPT@TPUSA.com is the email address. Let us know if you watched the entire White House Correspondents' Dinner. I don't know why I keep adding press in there. TPT@TPUSA.com. Scan the QR code. Go support the sponsors of the show. Find us on social media. It's going to come on your screen now.
Home inspectors, contractors, roofers. All kinds of pros recommend Leaf.
When it's breaking,
we're moving.
Breaking news.
Breaking news.
News doesn't sleep. At Real America's Voice, we don't get to crash or lose focus. That's why we drink Soldier Fuel and take Go Pills to stay ahead of the chaos, because we do this for you.
Go Pills and Soldier Fuel locked in.
Go Pills are packed with neurotransmitter support. Soldier Fuel has no sugar, so no crash.
Now that's a game changer.
Mic on, lights up. Soldier Fuel keeps me dialed right in.
Both are used by the U.S. military every day.
Built by Patriots for Patriots.
And they're now available to you.
This is huge.
Scan the QR codes below and order your supply today.
Hear that pop? So good.
Go to buysoldierfuel.com or search on Amazon.
This is performance fuel. Clean energy, sharp mind. That's how we do it at RAV.
Visit buygopills.com and get 15% off automatically.
Go Pills and Soldier Fuel.
Let's go.
Real America's Voice is growing, and now it's all in one place. Introducing the new and improved RAV app, built for access, community, and choice, not paywalls. Here's the key. RAV is still free to watch. No sign-in, no membership required. Your favorite live streams, breaking coverage, and video on demand are all right there. Free, just like always.
For the War Room Posse, we have to be a force multiplier on this. We have to stick the landing.
In the White House, in the Oval Office, you're crushing it, my friend.
And if you want more, the members section is your backstage pass. Get exclusive behind-the-scenes photos and videos, insider moments from the studio and the field, and early access to new content before it goes public. Members can also unlock special experiences like virtual meet and greets, member-only auctions, and select event access, plus commercial-free viewing of certain shows inside the app. It's not just an app, it's a community. Download the RAV app today. Find it in the App Store and Google Play.
Howdy, Rav fans. It's Warbringer here. Love you all. Rav is the only place to get the truth, and this is the only way we're going to be able to restore our republic. Love you all. See you in the chat.
This is Tim King, also known as USS Malik, and I love Real America's Voices for its like-minded programming and the chat. Love you guys.
All right, limited time, so we'll get right on into the emails. This from D. Fauci. I love me. Thank you for talking about me so much. Really appreciate me. Huh. I think that might have been Dr. Fauci emailing us. D. Fauci. Dr. Fauci. That makes sense. I may or may not have just made that email up on the fly. Email from Tommy in response to New York City Mayor name pronunciation suggestions. Spam Dammy. I like that. I like Spam Dammy. The problem is, because I'm Pacific Islander, when I hear the term spam, I don't immediately think too many texts on my phone or too many spammy emails. I literally think of spam, the wonder meat, or meat in quotations. So that's the only problem I have with Spam Danny. Okay, Shelley, regular frequent correspondent, talks about the inclusive foolishness of anybody can be pregnant. She says the foolishness that says, well, anybody can bear children, anybody can have a baby. Sometimes they're women and other times they're not women, is effectively a participation trophy. You know, I actually don't. I respectfully disagree with that analysis. That's a participation trophy. You know why? Because I think women are incredible creatures who are able to reproduce the humankind. So I understand the premise, Shelley. I appreciate the email. This one I have to disagree with, though. All right, hey, TPT@TPUSA.com is the email address. Send along your thoughts, comments, concerns. We will see you tomorrow, same time, same place. God bless America.
system is outdated and archaic and vulnerable to title fraud, a growing scam the FBI now calls house stealing. Scammers can now easily download and forge one document, apply one fake notary stamp, and then file it with the recorder. Just like that, the property has been taken out of your name. Then they borrow